parents used my wedding fund for my twins' lavish celebration, so I finally cut them off. Now they're back needing my help. I, Catherine, 27F, feel like I need to explain everything here. I've had a rivalry with my twin sister, Karen, for as long as I can remember. But in my case, it wasn't just between us. My parents deliberately pressured us into it without even recognizing it. Karen has always been treated as if she's something unique, and I've come to understand why. Karen is precisely 12 minutes older than me. You heard that right, 12 minutes. It seems that's all it takes to be the golden child in my family. Karen was their miracle baby, the one who could do no wrong from the day we were born. I wasn't a horrible kid or anything, but she always received the credit for everything I did. One of my first memories of this favoritism dates back to kindergarten. We both participated in a school play. I played the lead role in Little Red Riding Hood, while Karen had 2 lines as a flower. During the concert, Karen started crying on stage after forgetting her lines. My parents missed my entire performance because they rushed to console her. That evening, instead of celebrating my achievement, all they could talk about was Karen's bravery for trying. Throughout primary school, this pattern persisted. If Karen got a C on an exam, she'd hear, "Oh, honey, you tried your best." But if I scored consecutive As, I'd barely get a nod. I remember working tirelessly on a science fair project about renewable energy in 4th grade. I researched, built models, and even consulted regional environmental specialists. When I handed my parents the blue ribbon for winning first place, they barely glanced at it. Instead, they focused on how Karen had a tough volleyball practice that day. After that, I stopped showing them my achievements. High school was no different. I joined numerous clubs, took AP classes, maintained a perfect GPA, and pushed myself to excel. Meanwhile, Karen partied her way through high school, barely managing a C average. Yet, she was still praised as the fun and social one, while I was criticized for being too competitive and serious. The disparity became undeniable during our senior year. My academic success earned me the title of valedictorian, a full scholarship to a prestigious university, and even a feature in the local newspaper. Karen, on the other hand, barely graduated and enrolled at a community college. At our shared graduation party, my accomplishments were overshadowed by my parents' lament over Karen not getting into her dream school. Everything changed during my junior year of college. At Thanksgiving, my slightly inebriated uncle let slip that my parents hadn't even planned on having twins. He revealed that my parents were devastated when they found out they were expecting 2 children instead of 1. My father had shrugged and said, "We'll figure it out," while my mother worried about managing 2 babies. Their solution: focus all their energy on Karen, the cherished firstborn. The weight of years of rejection hit me all at once. I finally understood why they had never cared about my achievements. I was the unplanned addition, the afterthought. Something shifted in me that day. I stopped trying to earn their approval. Instead, I focused on building my own life. I graduated college with perfect grades, secured a job as a software engineer at a promising startup, and was promoted to senior developer within 3 years. Meanwhile, Karen met a wealthy man at a bar, had a whirlwind romance, and planned an extravagant wedding. It was the wedding fund situation that broke my heart for good. Our grandmother, the only family member who treated us equally, left a sizable sum of money specifically for our weddings. She had been clear that the money was to be split evenly between us. However, my parents decided to take my share of the inheritance to fund Karen's lavish wedding without telling me. I only found out months later at another family gathering when my uncle let it slip after a few drinks. When I confronted my parents about using my inheritance without permission, their responses were infuriating. "Oh, honey," my mother said dismissively, waving her hand, "we were going to tell you eventually. When we can, we'll pay you back." Even worse was my father's reply, "Well, Karen needed it more. She's the one getting married, and since you're so focused on work, it's not like you'll want a lavish wedding anyway." As I stood there in their kitchen, staring at the people who were supposed to be my parents, I felt nothing but emptiness. They truly believed what they had done was justified. Karen had always been the focus, and they didn't see anything wrong with that. That night, I returned to my apartment and did something I should have done years ago. I opened my laptop and wrote them an email. "I know about the wedding fund. I know you used my inheritance without my consent to pay for Karen's wedding. But this isn't just about the money. It's about the way you've treated me my entire life as less than. I'm done trying to win your love and acceptance. I'm done being the child you didn't want. Don't contact me again unless it's to repay what you owe me." I hit send, blocked their numbers, and removed them from all social media. For the first time in my life, I felt free. The following year was transformative. Without the weight of my parents' favoritism, I threw myself into my career and personal growth. Our company's IPO was a success, and my stock options skyrocketed, making me wealthier than I had ever imagined. I started therapy to work through the trauma of my childhood. I bought a beautiful home in a desirable area of the city and surrounded myself with genuine friends who celebrated my achievements and valued me for who I am. Karen occasionally tried to reach out through mutual friends and distant family, but I wasn't interested. She would post on social media about how family should stick together, or "you're still my sister," but where was this loyalty when she happily accepted my inheritance for her wedding? She had been complicit in our parents' favoritism for years, and I wasn't about to forget that. 2 weeks ago, everything changed. I was in the middle of a team meeting when my phone started buzzing nonstop. My uncle was calling me repeatedly. Knowing that family calls always meant drama, I was tempted to ignore it, but something told me to answer. "Hey, it's Uncle Greg," he said, his voice trembling. "I need to talk to you about your parents." My stomach sank. "What happened?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "They were in a car accident. A bad one. Your dad is in critical condition, and your mom has several fractures. They've been in the hospital for days." He paused, taking a shaky breath. "Their insurance lapsed 6 months ago, and the medical bills are piling up." I was silent, processing the information. "What about Karen?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "She visited them once after the accident, but said she couldn't help with the bills. She doesn't want to ask her husband for money so soon after the honeymoon." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Karen had no problem taking my inheritance for her wedding, but now she was too proud to ask her wealthy husband for help. Over the next few days, I was consumed with guilt and doubt. They were my parents, after all. Could I really leave them in this situation? But every time I considered helping them, I remembered how they had treated me throughout my life, how they only reached out when they needed something from me. 3 days after my uncle's call, Karen texted me, "I know you're doing well at work. Mom and Dad are in desperate need of help. This is your chance to do the right thing." The audacity of her message was infuriating. Where was her moral compass when she happily accepted my inheritance? A week later, my parents finally called me themselves. My mother's voice was weak and clearly affected by painkillers, but her manipulative tone was as sharp as ever. "Sweetheart, we're in such a difficult position. The bills could reach $200,000. We know we've made mistakes as parents, but..." I interrupted her. "No, you haven't. You've never thought of me as your child. You only think of me now because you need money." My father's voice came through the speaker. "That's not fair. We're family. Family supports family." I couldn't hold back my anger. Family supports family? Where was that support when you used my inheritance to pay for Karen's wedding? Where was it when you missed every milestone in my life because you were too busy focusing on her? The line went silent for a moment before my mother started crying. "How can you be so cruel? Your father might need surgery. Will you really abandon us now?" "Yes," I said firmly. "Yes, I will. You emotionally abandoned me my entire life. Now you want me to save you when Karen refuses to? No, I'm done." I hung up, blocked their numbers again, and texted Karen one last time. "They're your parents too. Handle it yourself." A few days later, Karen showed up unannounced at my apartment. Dressed in designer clothes and carrying a $15,000 handbag, she demanded that I help pay for our parents' medical bills. I listened to her excuses about her financial obligations and new family before calmly showing her my financial portfolio. "Yes, I can afford to help them," I said, "but I won't. You and our parents have treated me like an afterthought my entire life. You're on your own." Karen tried to guilt-trip me, calling me selfish and cruel, but I didn't budge. For the first time, I felt in control. After she left, I poured myself a glass of expensive wine and sat on my balcony, looking out at the city. For the first time in my life, I felt truly free. Cutting off my family wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my mental health and happiness. I've learned that being labeled selfish by toxic people is often a sign that you're finally standing up for yourself. Thank you, Reddit, for giving me the strength to find my voice.